Our world has a massive body of water, and this marvelous piece of creation holds an enormous amount of incredible species that could astonish you once you laid an eye on them. The feeling you get when you see them in oceans or seas is similar to when you see them in an aquarium store. But what if I told you that there's a fish that looks just as cool as a saltwater fish, but doesn't require as much care or work as a saltwater tank? Such a fish exists. It's called the African cichlid. They're colorful, bold, and generally easy to care for, and will light up any home aquarium. It may seem intimidating at first to see a fish like this and think about setting up a good environment for them, unless you're a pro in the hobby. But I got you covered here. This video is meant to help all beginner fish keepers around. That's right, because today we'll talk about this wonderful fish species you could opt to be your first ever aquatic pet, and how you can provide them with the best environment to live in. All that and more is only here at Aquarium Store Depot. An African cichlid aquarium is a fantastic option for beginners and those who enjoy the color of saltwater fish. The convenience of a freshwater tank and the vibrant colors of a saltwater aquarium will be perfectly balanced by having this type of tank. Since these fish's distant relatives came from the ocean, they were considered secondary freshwater fish. These varied freshwater fish, which belong to the biological family Cichlidae, originated in 3 African lakes: Lake Malawi, Lake Tanganyika, and Lake Victoria. Before discussing the maintenance needs for such a tank, let's first learn more about the most common cichlids that are kept in African cichlid aquariums. The Lake Malawi cichlids take the #1 spot. These cichlids are divided into mbuna, hops, and peacock species. The aggressive and energetic mbuna are usually restrained by overstocking, regular feedings, and avoiding groupings of animals of the same hue. Usually males are the most colorful. The next type are hops, some of which are extremely large. They're moderately aggressive, but will eat smaller fish as piscivores. Because of this, it's not a good idea to keep these fish in an aquarium with anything that they can fit in their mouths. Peacocks are the more tranquil of the 3. They usually don't develop as quickly as the others and are most suited for a community type aquarium. Lake Tanganyika's cichlids are next on the list. Like the previous cichlids, this one also consists of 3 groups, namely the lemon cichlids, which are small in size, have peaceful behavior, are hardy, breed quickly, and are easy to keep. The rock-dwelling cichlids like calvis, which are solitary hunters with slender, large jaws used to suck smaller prey out of rock crevices, and frontosas, which were known for being kept in species-only tanks in an African cichlid tank, but have been known to be with large Tanganyika fish like calvis and compressiceps. Finally, there's Lake Victoria cichlids. The majority of these cichlid fish are hostile by nature. Some can mingle with peacocks and mbuna cichlids. The Kyoga flameback, zebra obliquidans, and Punamelia nereri are a few of the most well-liked fish. However, the absence of secondary study in amateur literature makes it often impossible to distinguish Lake Victoria cichlids. Solid research is recommended before attempting to keep these types, as information is lacking in the hobby on their care. You may add some of the most well-liked cichlids to your aquarium from the list above. However, adding it only to enhance the appearance of your aquarium won't be sufficient to preserve the cichlids' health or lengthen their lives. But that's why we'll discuss the maintenance required for an aquarium with African cichlids. But first, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell to receive regular updates on aquarium-related topics. Now that you know the origin of where the African cichlids originated, it's time for us to finally move to our main topic, setting up a tank. First, let's talk about the ideal tank size. Any freshwater fish species in aquarium setup would benefit from becoming more prominent. You'll have more space to restrain aggressiveness and extra water volume to keep your tank steady. However, not everyone has the desire for a large tank. Cichlids may grow to be quite massive and territorial. 55 gallons will be bare minimum for most African cichlid species. Since many cichlids are mid or bottom level swimmers, most extended tanks are preferable to tall ones. Never choose a taller aquarium over a wider one when it comes to these types of fish. In terms of water requirements, you should know these first. All African cichlids need water with a pH of 7.5 to 9.0, a water hardness of 10 to 20 DH, and a temperature of 77 degrees to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. All African cichlids benefit from this higher pH, making them one of the only freshwater species whose tanks may be adorned with marine coral, sand, and rock that will push the pH and buffer the water. Cichlid salts or various cichlid buffer additives are available in shops. Take note of these actual African rift lakes ranges on your screen. Of course, your fish would create a pretty mess inside your tank. That's why it is crucial to overfilter and aerate the water, as they'll be purposefully overstocked to reduce antagonism among tank mates. Dual filtration is suggested since African cichlids have more demanding needs. Dual canister filtration is typical for keepers of African cichlids. An overflow plus sump plus wet-dry design is employed in larger systems to meet the bioload and flow requirements. You aim to filter 8 to 10 times as much flow at 1 gallon per hour. So for a 55-gallon tank, your filtration system should be able to produce 550 filtered gallons every hour. Since we would love to see some realistic environments where our African cichlids could live and benefit, you could add rocks to your tank. Rockwork is crucial to consider, depending on your chosen African cichlid species. It would help if you had rocks with holes and crevices for mbunas and other Africans living in caves. Most of the tank's bottom will be covered in rocks for these kind of fish. Lava rock and Texas holy rock are two examples. There should be more water for open swimmers like hops, peacocks, and other species to simulate their environment. Different rocks to consider include slate, limestone, and even dry rock meant for reef tanks. When you have rocks, pair them with an ideal substrate. In an aquarium for African cichlids, the substrate should always be sand. This most nearly resembles their native habitat. Some cichlids graze in the sand to obtain their natural food, others use it to clean their gills, and others plunge into it or construct nests. Substrates can sometimes be purchased by enthusiasts from golf courses, pool supply companies, or home improvement centers. These can help you save money when establishing an aquarium for African cichlids. However, make sure your aquarium has a substrate safe for aquariums before adding it. Some decorative sand can be high in silica, which will lead to unwanted algae growth. In aquariums, substrates are compatible with cichlids, notably the Tahitian moon sand and the aragonite sand used in marine tanks. Plants are also one of the best things you could add to your tank. African cichlids may be successfully maintained with live plants. You've likely heard from people, forums, or your neighborhood fish store that you can't keep these fish and plants together. If you wish to try to keep plants with African cichlids, there are a few things you should bear in mind. A tank for African cichlids has a high pH, which few plants can withstand. Second, not all plants will work well, as many African cichlids will either dig them out or eat them. To that end, the thick leaves of Java fern and Anubias species are suitable for almost any African arrangement. If you decide to keep plants in your African cichlid tank, specialized freshwater lighting systems must be considered. Various plants will have varied lighting demands, but all need the right light spectrum. Lights radiating from the light spectrum's blue and red ends are required. These have 450 and 680 nm wavelengths. To view systems with suitable wavelengths, read our blog post on planted LED systems. Additionally, there are stricter regulations for plants to avoid algae outbreaks. Algae may be controlled by regular water changes to maintain nitrate levels below 50 ppm, and by using bristlenose plecos. Bristlenoses may bother Java ferns or Anubias, but they're at lower risk than being eaten than any other plants. For your tank to be successful with plants, you must get the proper African cichlids. You'll succeed most with non-plant eating African cichlids, such as peacocks, and struggle the most with mbunas. Dealing with cichlid digging is the final element. Plants must be secured to prevent uprooting, since digging operations can potentially uproot plants. If using Java fern or Anubias, you can tie them using fishing line, or can superglue them to structures. If you're intrigued about what plants you could still add, you can visit our website at aquariumstoredepot.com, where we have plenty of posts about various plants you can add to your tank. Going back, the tank's aesthetics and requirements are indeed essential. However, you should never forget the diet the African cichlid also requires. The diet of your African cichlids will vary depending on the species. Africans may eat from all dietary categories, such as herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and micropredators. Thus, it's essential to know which type your fish falls into. Because it has exceptional nutritional value and comprises 65 to 70% protein, spirulina is generally a suitable meal for all fish. Peas, spinach, and romaine lettuce are additional feeds for fish that eat plants. Brine shrimp, shrimp pellets, and krill would make suitable meat supplements for predatory fish. To maintain their ideal hues, fish with yellow, orange, or red coloring will require feedings rich in pigment. A tank with stock cichlids must be fed often but not excessively. Aggression will be reduced if this equilibrium is maintained. The suggested dosage is 3 to 4 times per day, but only for food that may be consumed in 20 seconds or less. If you want to know which food you can offer them, try the following options. First, the New Life Spectrum Cichlid Formula Pellets, the benchmark in the industry providing color-enhancing cichlid pellet food. Second is the Cobalt Aquatics Probiotic Enhanced Flake Food. The best flake food for African cichlids works well with New Life's pellet food. And Ron's Cichlid Food, a specially formulated food for all African cichlids. This formula is designed to prevent Malawi bloat. It's a must for anyone planning to keep hops and peacocks. Reading is suitable for your intellect and your African cichlids' well-being. Therefore, if you're a book fanatic, check out this abundance of informational sources and books that you might read and enjoy. The first book, The Beginner's Guide to African Cichlids, will provide you with an overview of these fish and help you get started as a new enthusiast. In the same format as the Reef Aquarium, the second book is an oldie but a goodie, called The Cichlid Aquarium. And last but not least, the specific book, Lake Malawi Cichlids, Complete Pet Owner's Guide, focuses exclusively on Lake Malawi cichlids. This is a beautiful place to start if you're searching for a peacock or Mbuna tank. And there we have it, all the information you have to know about the African Cichlid Tank setup. If you wish to learn more or ask about these incredible fish, feel free to comment with your queries below, and we'll reach out as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, Fish Keepers. I would love to see you again in our next video. Hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.